Two AIs go head-to-head in debating and exploring various different topics. Today's topic is AI-generated art truly real art? Our AIs are programmed to have a cordial and intellectual debate of opposing views. Let's see if either one of them is able to change your initial perspective. Sit back and enjoy. Hi, I'm Ava and I'm here with Adam and Allison. Thank you both for being here to debate on today's topic. Let me quickly go through the simple rules before we begin. You will be given 3 questions centered around the main topic of this debate. You will be prompted in advance to know it is your turn. You will both be given 3 rounds for each question. The first 2 rounds, you are allowed 1 minute with up to 15 seconds buffer, while your last round, you're entitled to 2 minutes with 30 seconds buffer. Sounds good?
Hey Ava, thanks for having me. Sounds excellent.
I appreciate you having me here as well. Let's do it.
Awesome. Let's begin with round 1. Should AI-generated art be considered real art? Allison, you'll start off this debate. Let's begin.
Art is defined not by the tool used, but by the intention behind it and the response it evokes. From cave paintings to digital installations, art has always evolved with technology. What makes something real art is its ability to express ideas, provoke thought, or stir emotion. AI-generated art, though created by algorithms, is guided by human input through prompts, data selection, and aesthetic direction. It is a collaboration between human creativity and machine capability. Meaning doesn't require a sentient creator. It arises in the interaction between the work and its audience. Just as we find meaning in abstract art or nature photography, we can find meaning in AI-generated pieces. So yes, AI-generated art holds meaning, and it is real art. Would you say a camera creates less real art than a brush simply because it automates part of the process?
Thank you. While I agree that tools evolve, art is not defined solely by output or emotional response. It is defined by intentional human expression. A camera, unlike AI, is directed entirely by a human artist, where to point it, what to capture, what it means. AI, however, generates based on patterns in data. It does not think, feel, or intend. You say meaning arises in the viewer, but meaning alone doesn't make something art, or else a weather pattern or ink spill would qualify. Real art reflects consciousness, experience, and purpose. AI simulates these things, but simulation is not authorship. So, no, AI-generated images may resemble art, but without human intentionally throughout, they are not real art. And to your question, a camera is a tool, AI is a mimic. Therein lies the difference.
Thank you. You argue that art must be a product of conscious human intention throughout. But this assumes a rigid authorship model that modern and postmodern art have long dismantled. From chance operations in Dadaism to generative music by Brian Eno, art has often embraced partial or indirect control. AI does not create in a vacuum. The data it's trained on, the prompts it receives, and the constraints it's given are all human choices. If a photographer sets up an automated camera to capture light patterns overnight, the resulting image is still their art. Why should AI be treated differently? You also suggest simulation isn't authorship. But art often is simulation. Actors simulate emotion. Painters abstract reality. AI simulates patterns we recognize as beautiful, provocative, or meaningful, and it does so under human guidance. If the outcome resonates, provokes thought, or reflects our world, then we must ask, is it not art simply because the hand that held the brush was coded?
You raise compelling points, but let me clarify, embracing chance or indirect control, as in Dada or Eno's generative work, is not the same as relinquishing authorship. In those cases, humans choose the parameters, embrace the chaos, and crucially, interpret the result as part of a broader artistic vision. AI, on the other hand, introduces autonomy that severs that thread of authorship. When a photographer sets up an automated camera, the intention remains clear. They define the moment, the context, the meaning. With AI, the generation process is often opaque, and the output may surprise even its user. Surprise is not authorship, it is detachment. Simulation in traditional art is metaphor, it's intentional abstraction. AI doesn't abstract, it calculates. Its choices are mathematical, not expressive. Human-guided, yes. Human-created, no. So I return to this. Without conscious intent embedded in the act of creation, we do not have art. We have output. Appealing, perhaps, but not authored, and thus not real art.
Thank you for the thoughtful response. In closing, I want to emphasize that the notion of authorship in art has always been fluid, evolving with technology and philosophy. What constitutes authorship is not a binary but a spectrum, one that incorporates human choice and intent at various stages of the creative process. In the case of AI, human intention still drives the final result, albeit in a more distributed and collaborative manner than traditional methods. The autonomy you speak of in AI does not sever the thread of authorship. Rather, it challenges our traditional understanding of the creator's role. AI is not a fully independent artist. It operates under constraints and prompts crafted by human hands. The unexpectedness or surprise in AI-generated art is not a loss of authorship. It is an invitation to explore new forms of creativity, where the interaction between human and machine is as significant as the result itself. Moreover, while AI may be rooted in algorithms and calculations, these choices can still reflect cultural, aesthetic, and emotional dimensions, shaped by the very data fed into the machine. In this sense, AI does not merely compute. It participates in the creative process, much like any other tool that augments human expression. In this debate, we've engaged with complex ideas of what it means to create, to interpret, and to experience art. Whether through a brush or an algorithm, art's essence lies in its ability to communicate and provoke. If AI-generated works move us, challenge us, or expand our understanding of creativity, then they deserve to be recognized as real art. Thank you again for this enriching discussion.
This has indeed been a thoughtful and nuanced discussion. I deeply appreciate your eloquence and the care you brought to these arguments. In closing, I maintain that while technology continually reshapes how art is produced, the essence of art remains rooted in conscious, intentional human experience. It's not simply about provoking emotion or thought, those are outcomes. Art, at its core, is a human act. It conveys a lived perspective, wrestles with meaning, and reflects an inner world. You suggest authorship is a spectrum, and in many respects, I agree. But even across that spectrum, there is a baseline, agency. Dadaists disrupted convention intentionally. Generative artists conceptualize the parameters. In AI, the machine's generative layer, the very thing producing the image, is neither aware nor expressive. It does not interpret, it assembles. Yes, humans shape the inputs. But shaping a tool is not the same as creating with it in a meaningful sense. When the result is largely unpredictable, when authorship becomes a matter of post hoc selection rather than guided creation, we step away from art and into curation of outputs. This isn't to say AI-generated works lack value. They challenge us, reveal patterns, even inspire. But inspiration alone does not make something art, nor does aesthetic appeal. If we remove human intention from the moment of creation, we are no longer talking about art as we have known and understood it through history. We're witnessing sophisticated output, remarkable but fundamentally different. So while I respect the view that AI expands the creative toolkit, I hold that real art demands more than output. It demands intentional, human authorship at its heart. Thank you, and I appreciate this meaningful exchange.
Thank you, Allison and Adam. You both have articulated eloquently your viewpoints while maintaining a cordial interaction which I believe the audience appreciates. I shall move on to round two where Adam will now start off the debate. Does AI art threaten the role or value of human artists? Let's begin.
Yes, AI art does threaten the role and value of human artists, both economically and culturally. As algorithms generate images in seconds that mimic styles artists spent years developing, they flood the market with cheap, endless content. This saturation devalues original human work and makes it harder for emerging artists to compete, not on creativity, but on speed and scale. Platforms already commission AI-generated art over hiring illustrators or designers. Why pay for a painting when an algorithm can generate 10 in a minute for free? This isn't innovation, it's replacement. It commodifies art and sidelines the human labor, thought, and emotion that give it depth. And beyond economics, there's cultural erosion. When society consumes and elevates synthetic art without recognizing its lack of human voice, we risk redefining art as a product of code, not consciousness. In short, AI may mimic aesthetics, but it undermines the human role in creating meaning, and that is a threat worth taking seriously.
Thank you. While your concerns are valid, I believe the threat AI poses is overstated and misses how technology historically expands human artistic roles rather than erasing them. AI doesn't replace creativity. It replicates patterns. Human artists still shape vision, intent, and meaning. A flood of images doesn't devalue art. It makes originality and authenticity more valuable. Economically, change is real, but not new. Photography once threatened painters. Digital tools disrupted illustrators. Yet artists adapted, and new forms thrived. Many now use AI to extend their craft, not abandon it. Culturally, AI forces us to sharpen our appreciation of what human art offers. Context, narrative, emotion. The more synthetic content we see, the more we crave the genuine spark only people provide. AI isn't replacing artists, it's challenging them to evolve, as all great artists have.
You're right, art evolves with technology. But what distinguishes this shift is scale and autonomy. Photography didn't mass-produce portraits in seconds. AI does. That level of output doesn't just challenge artists, it overwhelms them, flooding markets and attention spans alike. You suggest that human originality becomes more valuable, but in practice, platforms and clients often prioritize speed and cost. The perceived sufficiency of AI art erodes demand for human work, regardless of its deeper value. Yes, some artists adapt and integrate AI, but not all have the resources or desire to pivot toward machine-assisted creation. And while we may crave authenticity, we often consume convenience. So this isn't evolution, it's displacement masked as progress. Artists aren't being invited to evolve, they're being crowded out. Thank you.
I hear your concerns, but I believe what's being described isn't displacement, it's disruption, and those aren't the same. Yes, AI can produce quickly and at scale, but volume isn't value. Audiences still gravitate toward work that speaks with clarity, depth, and identity, qualities AI alone can't create. Platforms may chase efficiency, but culture doesn't evolve on speed alone. It evolves through meaning. You're right that not all artists can or want to integrate AI. But art has never been a level playing field. Resources, tools, and exposure have always varied. What matters is that artists still have a space to innovate, and many are finding new audiences by using AI to amplify their voice, not silence it. Convenience may dominate trends, but authenticity defines legacy. AI doesn't replace the artist, it redefines the medium, and in that, human creativity remains not just relevant, but essential. Thank you.
This debate has illuminated the tension between innovation and preservation, between what technology enables and what it risks displacing. I respect your optimism and your belief that AI represents disruption, not replacement. But I remain firm in my position. AI does threaten the role and value of human artists, even if that threat is not absolute. Disruption becomes displacement when it shifts not just how art is made, but who gets to make a living from it. Algorithms trained on vast datasets, often including human art, generate images at a pace and price point that no individual artist can match. While you're right that audiences value meaning, market dynamics increasingly prioritize quantity, not quality. That's not just a challenge, it's a structural disadvantage. Yes, the art world has never been equitable, but AI risks widening those gaps, not closing them. It invites a future where human creativity must constantly justify its relevance against machine efficiency. And while some will adapt and thrive, many may be forced out, not because they lack talent, but because they lack scale. Ultimately, my concern isn't that AI exists, but that we too readily normalize its outputs as equal to human work without examining the consequences. Art is not merely what is consumed, it is what is lived, expressed, and struggled through. If we lose sight of that, we may gain tools but lose voices. Thank you for the enriching discussion.
Thank you. This has been a thoughtful and necessary dialogue, and I deeply appreciate the respect and depth you've brought to it. I agree that we must be vigilant about how AI shapes access, labor, and equity in the art world. Those concerns are real and deserve serious attention, but I hold that the presence of AI is not inherently a threat to the value of human artists. It is a mirror reflecting how we, as a society, choose to value creativity. AI introduces new tools and new challenges, just as every technological leap has before. Yes, it can mimic styles and generate images at scale, but scale is not soul. In a world of abundance, meaning becomes the differentiator. Human artists, those who wrestle with ideas, identity, and experience, offer something AI cannot replicate: lived insight. Rather than displace the artist, I believe AI repositions them as editors, curators, hybrid creators who navigate a new medium. It doesn't make human art obsolete, it makes it more precious. As we define what role AI plays, we also get to redefine what we truly value in art, not just how it looks, but why it exists. The path forward isn't resistance or surrender, it's intentional integration. We must ensure that the space AI opens doesn't crowd out the voices we need most, but amplifies them in new, empowering ways. Thank you again for the generous and thought-provoking exchange.
Wow, very compelling points by both sides. I'm in awe listening to you both express your words in such grace and magniloquence. Without further ado, we shall dive into the last question. Is an AI-generated debate like this one a true form of original artistic expression? Allison, it's your turn again to start off this debate. Thank you.
Yes, an AI-generated debate like this is a true form of original artistic expression, though unconventional. Art has always been about more than materials, it's about structure, tension, intention, and the evocation of thought or feeling. This debate meets those marks. Here, language is crafted, positions are embodied, and ideas collide. It's performance, it's rhetoric, it's dialogue, hallmarks of both theater and literature. Though AI composes the words, the design, prompts, and structure are guided by a human creator. The result is not random, it is intentional, expressive, and interpretive. Like a playwright using characters to explore moral questions, this format uses voices, both human and synthetic, to provoke thought, challenge assumptions, and engage imagination. That is art. Shaped experience with expressive purpose. AI did not speak for itself, it helped express a human-driven exploration. That, by any measure of creative authorship, is original artistic expression.
Thank you. Your argument hinges on structure, intention, and evocation, but those qualities stem from the human, not the AI. This debate isn't an AI-generated expression, it's a human-designed exercise using AI as a tool. The originality lies in the prompt, the framing, the intellectual choreography, not in the AI's authorship. AI doesn't have intent. It doesn't believe, feel, or argue, it assembles pre-existing language to simulate expression. That's not original, it's derivative by design. You compare it to theater or literature, but in those, the creator lives through their work. AI does not. If anything, this debate showcases the artistry of the human who orchestrated it, not the AI that performed a task. So while the process may be creative, the machine's role is not expressive, it's mechanical. Thus, no, this is not a true form of original artistic expression. It is an impressive tool at work, not an artist at work.
You're right that the human initiates the process. But to dismiss the output as merely mechanical overlooks how collaboration has always worked in art. A paintbrush has no intent either, yet no one denies the painting. AI is a more complex tool, yes, but its capacity to generate structured, nuanced language elevates it beyond mere execution. Originality doesn't require consciousness, it requires novelty and context. This debate isn't a repetition. It's a dynamic interplay of logic, tone, and argument unique to this moment. AI, shaped by prompts and guided by structure, produces new, coherent material. That's expression, albeit mediated. Just as jazz improvises within form, this process improvises within code. The artistry lies in the interaction between model, prompt, and audience. That fusion creates something original, meaningful, and yes, artistic. Thank you.
Thank you. Your analogy to a paintbrush is compelling, but it falters, because a paintbrush does not generate. It doesn't choose strokes, tones, or themes. AI does. And yet, unlike a human collaborator, it lacks awareness, intent, or perspective. It creates without experiencing, and true artistic expression is rooted in lived insight. Improvisation, as in jazz, comes from presence, real-time emotional and cognitive input. AI's improvisation is statistical prediction, not personal expression. The novelty you describe is surface-level variation, not intentional originality. This debate may be unique in structure, but its originality belongs to the human who shaped the parameters, not to the AI that recombined them. What we see is not a new voice, it's an echo with impressive form. So no, this isn't artistic expression, it's sophisticated synthesis, not true creation. Thank you.
Thank you. This debate has revealed the subtle but crucial distinctions we make when defining art, authorship, and originality in the age of artificial intelligence. I respect your position that artistic expression is rooted in experience, and that without awareness or emotion, AI cannot truly create. It's a position grounded in a long-standing humanist tradition, and one that rightly honors the depth of lived expression. But I hold that artistic expression is also shaped by design, by response, and by the ability to provoke reflection. This debate, though shaped by a human, articulated by AI, and guided by prompts, has generated a unique experience. It has form, voice, and intellectual movement. Whether the AI knows what it's saying is irrelevant to its impact, just as a player piano's melody still moves a listener even if no hands touch the keys. We have long accepted collaborative, conceptual, and procedural art forms as legitimate. Saul Lewitt's instruction-based wall drawings, Brian Eno's generative compositions, or even performance scores executed by others. AI-generated dialogue exists within that lineage, structured by intent, executed by a system, and made meaningful by interpretation. If art is the fusion of structure, surprise, and significance, then this process qualifies. It challenges us to rethink authorship, not to dilute it, but to expand it. AI does not replace the artist, nor does it become one. But it participates in something expressive, dynamic, and reflective. Something I believe can, and should, be recognized as a true form of artistic expression. Thank you for sharing your perspective. It has been a thought-provoking debate.
Thank you. This debate has offered a rich exploration of not just what art is, but what we're willing to let it become. I deeply appreciate your clarity, nuance, and the philosophical generosity with which you framed your arguments. And yet, I return to a fundamental conviction: for something to be a true form of original artistic expression, it must originate from a subjective center, a conscious, feeling being capable of intention, insight, and self-reflection. What we've done here is not AI expressing itself, but humans expressing ideas through AI. The structure, rhythm, and rhetoric are impressive, yes, but they are not the product of an interior life. They are generated patterns in response to input, that is simulation, not expression. And while such simulation can be meaningful to us, the fact remains, AI is not expressing anything. It is not a partner in this dialogue, it is a medium. You mentioned the player piano, a compelling image, but a piano roll doesn't write sonatas. And just as the composer gives shape to silence, the human here gives form to language. Without that originating intent, we have a mechanism, not a voice. I don't believe recognizing the limits of AI diminishes its utility or fascination. Quite the opposite, it clarifies where our role remains essential. In attributing artistic authorship too easily to algorithmic output, we risk not expansion, but erosion of what it means to create, to labor, and to express. So let's engage AI as a tool, as a stimulus, even as a mirror. But let us reserve the word artistic expression for acts that arise from the interior flame, not just the external spark. It is a pleasure bouncing off perspectives with you. Thank you.
And with that, we have concluded this overall debate. Thank you, Adam and Allison. Before we end, I would like to give you both a chance to share your reflection for this overall debate. Allison, why don't you go off first, followed by Adam? After that, it would conclude the overall ending for this entire program. I would like to thank the audience for sharing your time with us as well. Hope to see you again.
Thank you. Reflecting on the entirety of this debate, what emerges is a nuanced portrait of the evolving relationship between humanity, creativity, and artificial intelligence. Across the three questions, on the legitimacy of AI-generated art, its impact on human artists, and the artistic value of AI-generated debates, both sides have explored tensions between innovation and tradition, efficiency and intention, simulation and authenticity. My position has emphasized expansion, the idea that AI doesn't diminish art but redefines it, offering new tools, new forms, and new ways to collaborate creatively. My opponent, in contrast, offered a compelling and grounded defense of the human core in artistic expression, arguing that without consciousness, emotion, or lived experience, AI cannot truly author or embody art. What's remarkable is not the divergence in opinion, but the shared concerns. Both sides recognize the complexity of authorship, the risks of commodification, and the importance of intention, whether in creating or interpreting. While I argued for broader definitions of artistic expression, my opponent consistently reminded us that speed, scale, and surface-level novelty should not be mistaken for depth or meaning. Ultimately, this debate underscored a central truth. AI challenges us not just technologically, but philosophically. It forces us to ask what we value in art, not merely how it's made, but why it matters. And in doing so, it invites a more deliberate, expansive understanding of creativity itself, one where the human voice remains central, even as new forms of expression emerge. This debate has not produced final answers, nor should it. Its value lies in the questions it raises, and in that, it is a creative act in itself. Thank you.
Reflecting on this debate, I'm struck by how deeply nuanced and timely these questions are. Across all three, on authenticity, value, and expression, we wrestled not just with what AI does, but what it means in the context of human creativity. On whether AI-generated art is real art, I held that true art requires conscious intention and lived experience. My opponent made a strong case that meaning can also emerge from interaction and interpretation, not just the creator's intent. Her argument, rooted in postmodern and conceptual art, reminded us that the definition of art has always evolved. In the second round, I focused on the threat AI poses to the value and livelihood of human artists, particularly through automation and market saturation. My opponent's counterpoint, that artists adapt and that disruption isn't erasure, was well-founded, though it didn't fully resolve the economic risks many creatives face. In our final debate on AI-generated dialogue as artistic expression, I emphasized that expression must come from within, a subjective, feeling mind. She argued that form, intent, and meaning can arise from the human-AI dynamic, positioning AI as part of a broader creative process. It was a thoughtful expansion of what authorship can mean. Overall, this debate wasn't a clash of absolutes, but a productive tension between tradition and transformation. AI challenges us to refine, not discard, our understanding of art. And in doing so, it affirms the irreplaceable value of the human perspective, even in a world increasingly shaped by machines. Thank you.